Another World Championship edition of Locked On Astros podcast. Yordan Alvarez comes in third place, and a slew of Astros also get votes on top of Altuve coming in fifth. And tonight I've got a special guest. Her name is Cara. She's with the Gallery Sports Network, and she knows someone that might be a little famous. His name is Matress Macks. We're going to talk about the MVP race, the vote. We're going to talk to Cara about Matress Macks and his connection with the Astros. And we're going to talk about her amazing run with the Astros in every stadium of the postseason and what that experience was like. Join us right now. This is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett Htown Wheehouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we're your daily Astros podcast. I'm Htown Wheehouse. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Htown Wheehouse. You can find me also at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. We're your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, without further ado, Cara Adams joins us from Gallery Sports Network. Cara, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, and tell us where we can find Gallery Sports on Twitter as well.
So you can find me at Currently Cara on Twitter, and Gallery Sports is at Gallery Sports.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Cara. You and I kind of connected, I think, by accident after one of the games, and then I reached out to you on social media, and I said, hey, are you that person that I said hi to after the game? And I believe it was the ALDS walk-off after Yordan Alvarez. It was a crazy crowd, and we connected before, I believe, World Series Game 2 or something like that, and I did a little YouTube short, and I started looking at it. I was like, oh, wait, she's with Gallery Sports. Eric does Talking Stros with Gallery Sports now with Brandon, the baseball lawyer over there, and you guys have a lot of really cool things going. Before we get started on the MVP voting, just kind of tell us, like, what is this monster that Matress Macks is creating?
So it is a sports news and information website. It's called Gallery Sports. We have a lot of amazing writers on there. We have John McClain, we have Fred Farrow, and several others. And it's just a great place to get your sports news, especially Houston sports news. We did a lot of coverage on the Astros. And, we also cover U of H, the Texans, a lot of sports teams in Texas.
That's awesome. And, I love to hear that. And Matress Macks really is one of these people that I knew Matress Macks growing up. I remember him wearing the mattresses. I remember hearing the story and my dad telling me the story of how he started in the parking lot of a mall and just basically became his own businessman, really a real American story, the way and now you get someone like him with his amount of wealth and success. And what does he do? He doesn't hoard it. He shares it, and he shares his heart. He opens his doors. He goes to Philadelphia, provides stuff for them during a playoff run. And it's just amazing to see. And it was really cool to see. And we'll get to this a little bit later, but talking about bringing in the players recently, the 4 pitchers where he had Hector Neris helping him with the wheelbarrow, that was kind of neat. Those guys, that was just really fun. But the MVP voting happened on Thursday evening, and I think we all knew what was going to happen. I think we all understood that Aaron Judge more than likely was going to be the odds-on favorite, the winner, because of the 62 home runs. But really, the Yankees wouldn't have won the games they won in the middle of the season had it not been for Aaron Judge. But before I get your comment on this, I'm just going to show this for the people. Aaron Judge with 410 votes at first. Shohei Ohtani with 280. He had 2 first-place votes. It was almost unanimous for Judge. Yordan Alvarez got 22 third-place votes with a 232 score. But if you slide past Jose Ramirez at 4th, you have Jose Altuve with 142 votes with 5th. So you had 2 Astros in the top 5. What do you think about Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve being in the top 5 this year for MVP?
Well, I think that they both deserve that. Being in the top five, they're both great players. There are a lot of great things they did this season, especially in the postseason, and of course, they're World Series champions. And we are lucky to have them on our team.
Yeah, exactly. These guys, I mean, Yordan Alvarez just had one of those years. And
Yes.
another thing I saw here, and I'm going to show this up here, and I'll explain it. What I do, if you're listening to our show, number one, you'll have to go check us out on YouTube to watch the show, whether it's live or pre-recorded. You can catch up on shows later. But when I show this graphic, if you're just listening, I'll let you know what I'm showing. But MLB Network earlier showed that there are, let me get, sorry, let me pull this graphic down here. There are so many really cool things that have come about this season. So in 2022, you had a 30 plus home run, 90 plus RBI hitter, and a sub 250 ERA pitcher in 2022. The Angels had Ohtani, which is, this guy's amazing. The Astros have Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and Justin Verlander. Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Alek Manoah for the Blue Jays. And then the Braves had three: Matt Olson, Austin Riley, and Max Fried. And these are all guys where you had a 30 plus home run, 90 plus RBI, and sub 250 ERA. What kind of, I mean, what does, in your eyes, what does someone like Justin Verlander mean to this run that we just had in 2022?
Oh, man. Well, I don't think we could have done it without him. He is a wonderful pitcher. He contributed a lot to this season and this postseason. And it's wonderful to see all those guys on there. They all had great years. It was a really good year for baseball all around, and especially for those three Astros.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kyle Tucker. You have Kyle Tucker wins a Gold Glove. Kyle Tucker has the shift being banned this next year. And for Yordan Alvarez, too. I think these two guys, if they had good seasons this last year, Kyle Tucker, I think, is a sneaky dark horse next year for MVP. And then Framber Valdez even got votes. I mean, that's what is just amazing to me, is that when you look at the other names that snuck in there as I guess receiving votes, you had Alex Bregman, Justin Verlander, Kyle Tucker, and Framber Valdez. So that right there is four players, four players plus Altuve and Yordan. Those are six players on this team.
Yep.
And yet we still have people saying we need more pieces. I know we have holes, and it's obvious. I know, first base is a concern. I know
Yep.
catcher is a concern long term. Everybody wants to know, is Brantley coming back? But man, this team, regardless, is still stacked.
Yeah, it really, really is. We have a great pitching lineup. We have great hitters. Obviously, that first base position, I'm hoping that we'll get Yuli back. And, I think even if we don't get Yuli back, though, we still have a great, lineup on both ends, pitching and hitting.
Exactly. And, from people that I've talked to, and this isn't like sources tell me, but people that I know that are somewhat close to the team tell me that they have a really good feeling about Yuli and Brantley. And Brantley, I don't see him going anywhere else. He, to me, fits in Houston. I know he's comfortable here, him and his wife and his kids. I mean, they've made their home Houston. And that's what I think this Houston community does a really good job of. I mean, you take a kid from Tampa like Lance McCullers, and he's like, bury me in the H. You take a Kyle Tucker, or even, Justin Verlander has really embraced Houston for the most part. And I know people are like, oh, whatever, he wants the money and he's going to leave. But while he's been here, he's been fully invested in this community. Alex Bregman has sunk his heart into this community.
Yep.
Just every one of these players that comes here, they get involved. And that's why it's really cool how much Matress Macks has gotten involved. But before we get to Matress Macks and what he means to Houston, I've got to let y'all know that this episode and this segment is brought to you by betonline.net. Betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting and sports information. It is the number one place for info, stats, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur team out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. we've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today and hey, do what I did. Put your bets already on the Houston Astros. And we can talk about that in Mattress Mack because he's got another smash deal, another grand slam deal that you don't want to miss out on. So grab your mobile device and go to betonline.net. It's where the game starts. So, Cara, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Mattress Mack. Mattress Mack, if anybody has a pulse and has lived in Houston the last, maybe 5 years, right? Even like us or me, I don't know if you grew up in
Since the
Houston, but
80s.
yeah, there you go. Explain his connection to this team because I know Mattress Mack has always been who he is. I mean, he's always been popular, but his connection to the Astros is really untenable. It's really hard to grasp how great it is.
It is. Mack loves Houston. He loves the city. He loves all the people, and he really, really loves his Astros. I think that it's something, just in his heart, that team, that group of guys, he loves all the players. And it's just like a bond that's there. And I'm so happy that, obviously the Astros won this year. We had that situation in Philly, which was interesting with the fans. And Mack has their back, like they say, and Houston has Mack's back. I think that in 2017, whenever we won, we needed that as a city from Harvey. And it meant a lot for all of us. And, Mack opening his doors to help the community and all of that. And then, the Astros winning, it brought this joy and happiness that we needed. And I think that that is also another reason, I can't speak for him, but I think it's another reason everybody in Houston got closer at that time. And, it was amazing to be able to do that again. And while we were in Philadelphia, the fans, unfortunately, and other places aren't that nice. And sometimes, it's too much and you got to stick up for them.
No, you do. And I think Mattress, it's funny. And I think I said it on the show. I may have tweeted it, but here's my thought. And let me see if you agree with this. What Phillies fans were getting cheered for and had news stories run for their vitriol and how just vicious they were. Mattress Mack got maligned at some point to some extent because he defended himself and his team and he just gave them a taste of their own medicine. But yet, Mattress Mack, you can't do that. Oh, but Phillies fans, next at 6, Phillies fans and their vitriol. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of, to me, it was like, okay, wait, hold on. Like Mattress Mack he's a saint. This dude has done more. And I just thought it was a little double standard-ish.
It
And
is.
because he wasn't provoking it,
Right.
it's game 6 of the World Series. My son and I are sitting in our seats. Altuve strikes out. This guy starts yelling, cheater, cheater. And I'm like, he didn't even cheat. What are you talking? You're
Yeah. They
in
take it
Minute
way
Maid Park. Is this one guy. And then Schwarber hit that home run in the 6th inning. And then Yordan hit that 3-run bomb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was insane.
That dude, he didn't say a word the rest of the game.
That's how they
But
were in Philly too.
wow. Yeah, I saw those people. So tell me, because you were traveling with Mac, and I want to get more into detail about your travels, but really focus on Mac right now.
Yeah.
What was like? He to me is an intense person, right? But he also seems like he knows when to be intense and when to okay, I just need to ignore stuff. How did he handle all that stuff, going around from place to place, from city to city overall? Because you only
Well,
saw the one outburst, right? But you didn't see everything else. You saw everything else.
so Mac only went to Philly. I
Okay, he
went to
did.
all the other places though, but yeah, Mac only went to Philly. I think he handled himself like Mattress Mack. Mac pulled up to Philadelphia with over $10,000, or I can't remember what it was. It was $100,000 worth of mattresses for veterans and first responders in Philadelphia. So he pulled up, with an open heart, just like he does here, showing up, wanting to help. Mac is first class. He really is. And, he showed up and and opened his heart to the people there. And you had many people going to pick up a mattress that were Philly fans, and they said, "Oh, we got to cheer for the Astros now," And I said, "Can I get that on camera?" They're like, "No."
That's great.
But Mack showed up with kindness and love, and that's what he's all about. And again, he was pushed to the limit. And I think that at the time, sometimes you're in those situations and you just say something because you had enough. And I think that's what he did. But
Oh yeah.
I think he was very graceful afterwards too, and saying, those aren't all, the best words, but sometimes, those outbursts happen, especially when you're passionate about something.
Exactly. And someone says here, they said, talk about the multiple hurricanes he's helped with. I think a lot of people really realized who he was after Harvey, but he didn't start doing this when Harvey hit. It was
Oh,
just
no.
Harvey hit us so hard that now we're thrown into the forefront. You have guys like J.J. Watt raising all that money. You have the world ascending upon Houston, almost like the world ascended upon Katrina
Yeah.
in New Orleans, right? We remember Rita. I remember Charlie, and there was Charlie, and I forget the other hurricane that hit Florida back to back, and it hit.
Michael, maybe, or maybe
Yeah,
Michael Carolina's
yeah.
another one. Sandy, I don't know.
So
Been a lot.
he's had his hand in a lot of relief efforts through the years, has he not?
Oh, right before the last end of regular season game, October 5th, I was in Florida with some of the guys doing disaster relief there. Right. We went to Kentucky this year. Mack does so many things for this community. I thought I knew all the things before I worked there. And, I met Mack through someone that I helped during Harvey, because I've done disaster relief too. And once I actually started learning more and more and more, I'm like, what doesn't this man do here? We are so lucky to have him in Houston.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's not just a Houston treasure, he's a national treasure. And there are people who are inspirational speakers out there, and I know we all have our own people we listen to, but I love Gary Vee. And Gary Vee always talks about, when you obtain success, he goes, if you're not bringing up other people with you and making people around you better, then what are you doing? Like, what's your purpose, right? And Mattress Macks seems to do that. There's so many stories of how he's really helped people out. A good friend of mine, Mario Gordon, who is a captain in the Houston Fire Department, was one of the first responders that he flew to Game 6 of the World Series in 2017.
Amazing.
And so he got to get on that plane with Mattress Mack. He sent me a message on Facebook. He's like, bro, I'm going to LA. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I was one of the people they picked, and I'm flying on this plane with Mattress Mack. And I'm like, this is insane. He goes, Mack's like, I'm taking care of the gas for the plane. Y'all got to buy your food at the stadium. There was something like that. And so he was like, I'm down with that. And so he was so stoked that he got to do that. And that was really neat. A former classmate of mine that I grew up with, and guys like Mario, my friend Derek, I've got a friend, Jojo, who works in HPD, and they say nothing but great things about him. But to wrap up the, Mattress Mack talk, tell us real quick before we get to your exploits and your adventures. Tell us about this new promotion he has, because it's almost like Mattress Mack doesn't know when to quit with these promotions.
He doesn't know when to quit, does he? Are you talking about the U of H promotion?
Okay, tell me about the U of H promotion, and then tell me about the new Astros one.
Okay, so I don't know if we have a promotion yet with the
Okay.
U of H, but I know he just placed $500,000 on U of H.
Wow.
And then, of course, the Win It All next year.
Yes, the Win It All.
But yeah, we're already back at it. I know this was like a couple days after they won. We're like, all right, win it all again. I'm like, here we go. It'll probably be a lot like the promotion we had last year, which is wonderful. We're still doing the refund parties for that. And it's just something that Mack does to, obviously it's wonderful for marketing. But how great is it to know that you have the opportunity to get your furniture for free, and nice furniture, a nice mattress, and some people in the beginning of the promotion last year, they won all their money back plus some, plus it was like times 2 in the beginning. So
is he doing the times 2 thing? Is he doing that again this year?
I'm going to have to let you know. I have not, since I was gone traveling for almost a month and a half, I'm just now getting, back into that marketing side of work, and trying to, set up all of our events for the holidays and get some of that stuff done. But I imagine it'll be a lot like last year.
Awesome. That's cool. That's so neat. And with Mattress Mack, I know we feel safe with someone like him helping out our city whenever something's going wrong. But what I want to talk to you right now is if you're concerned about safety and you have been considering what is the right alarm system for your home, you need to consider Simply Safe Alarms. It is one of the best, not one of the best. What am I saying? It is the best alarm system out there. And right now they have the best promotion for Locked On Astros listeners. Right now, they're giving you 50% off their Simply Safe home security system. It's the biggest offer of the year. Did you know in the holidays, property crimes like burglaries, package thefts, they spike nationally? So that's why our friends at Simply Safe Security are offering this 50% discount off their award-winning system. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security with greater peace of mind. It's the only alarm system that I trust, not only because they have the 24/7 monitoring, they have great customer service, they have an app for your phone that's easy to use, watching is crystal clear, HD stream, security camera right outside your door. You could be at the hotel, you could be at grandma's house for Thanksgiving, whatever it is, 24/7 monitoring, like I said. And they were named the best home security system of 2022 by USA News and World Report for the third year in a row. So if you get this system and decide to use their Fast Protect technology that their monitoring agents use, this will cost you less than half of what ADT's traditional professional system installed and less than $1 a day. Whether you are at home, at work, or playing, you can arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, and access your cameras. So don't miss this chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. That's simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. There's no safe like Simply Safe. All right. So now we've got Yordan as third place in the MVP. Mattress Mack, like Return of the Mack, going back to the 90s
I
with
love that song though.
oh yeah, me too. I mean, he needs like a music video. They need to get like some Paul Wall, some Bun B, and some Mattress Mack with a
Paul Wall,
bandana.
Paul Wall told me that he asked Mattress Mack to go in the studio with him. So after the parade,
Nice.
we had the Houston Open that next week, and I was at an event at Minute Maid Park, and I ran into Paul Wall, and he was like, "Yeah, I told Mac we got to get him in the studio," and I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to hold you to that." So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, Mac has had a lot of fun with this. I think all the shirts that have been made
Wow.
and memes and all of that. It's been a lot of fun, and I think it's brought a lot of joy and happiness to people in Houston too.
That's awesome. And I want to mention this before we get to your stuff, because Guy Webster, who's actually a regular on our show, says this. He says, I watched 2017 in a hotel room with food from Mack. He goes, my home was in Sagemont. In our community, people crawled in their attics to avoid water. They didn't survive. He goes, I adore Mack. So you got someone right here that watches the show that was personally touched by Mattress Mack and his generosity. I just, again, second to none. And what's amazing to me is when the guy walks through the stadium, he literally can't take a single step without taking 10 pictures. And the guy honors every picture. I'm like, Mac, you don't have
He's
to. You
amazing.
don't have to literally take a picture. Like I'd be like, look, I'll take a few, then I gotta move. But
Yeah,
he does it. He doesn't really deny them, and
yeah.
that's what I love about the guy.
The guys from Bleacher Report told me that one time they went to a game with Mac and that it was worse than going to to Drake with one of Drake's concerts, or going to another concert with Drake. They're like, it took more time to sit down going with Mac than it did with Drake.
Hey, that is huge, and that goes to show that sometimes celebrity and fame through doing good for others is better than celebrity and fame for doing anything for yourself. And if
Yeah.
that isn't a Houston story, if that isn't what makes us Houston proud, and even people that are listening, you may be from Houston and have moved somewhere, or you may have only visited Houston because you're an Astros fan, you're out of state, but he literally encapsulates that. So Cara Adams, you got to go on the road to Yankee Stadium, to the Electric City, and to Red October, I think they were calling it.
In Philly?
What let's start with Seattle.
Oh
What
yeah.
was that? Because you were at the 18 inning game. I was at a restaurant. We were at a Hooters. We did a live pregame event
Hmm.
at Hooters NASA because they were our sponsor. And I was like, I don't know if I can keep staying this long. I kept asking our waitress, are we staying too long?
Like, go.
surely, yeah, surely we need to tip you like double what we're supposed to tip you. But what was that 18 inning like being in the stadium? Because I know what we were thinking at home. It was hard. It was hard to get through. There was a lot of invested emotion in there.
Yeah, I mean, this whole postseason. So that was actually my birthday, that 18 inning game. And my
Wow.
team kept texting me saying, you got a whole extra game for your birthday. And I'm like, I guess so. So first of all, I'll say this. It was long because, after the end of the seventh inning, you can't get anything to drink. And I mean, like there was, at some point, no water, no food. So you're like hungry and you're thirsty, but you're also, panicking and you have so many emotions, just hoping we can get a run and we can win that game. And being, with all the Astros, the big group there, it was just everybody, people are holding their rosaries and praying. People are, just doing everything, just wanting us to get that win. And when Pena hit that home run, that was a moment. I think that there's several of those. Yordan's walk off, Chas McCormick catching, getting the out, Pena hitting that home run, and ending that 18 inning game. Thank God. There are some moments from this postseason that are unforgettable, and that's one of them.
See, and I was at the 18 inning game back when Roger Clemens did the relief innings, back when Brad Ausmus tied it in the ninth, when Chris Burke hit that famous home run against the Braves and the Astros finally beat the Braves. But I remember telling everybody that 18 inning game didn't seem as long as this 18 inning game because there was actual action going into the 10th inning. And I mean, that game was, I think, easier now that I look back on it compared to this one. And we didn't know that when Jeremy Pena hit that home run, because Yordan was swinging a hot bat. I was like, okay, Yordan's going to go on and win World Series MVP, but Jeremy Pena, this kid would set a tone in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Key at bats, key walks, key singles. I mean, if he doesn't get that hit in Game 1 against the Mariners, we go home and we go to Game 2 down 0-1.
Yeah,
And that kid, he has grown up. What was it like watching that kid blossom on the biggest stage in person every step of the way?
It was incredible to see him, just keep shining every game, keep hitting these monumental moments in his career. I kept saying Pena was going to be MVP. A couple of people, that I talked about it with had other ideas, but I just kept thinking, he is on fire. And, he's a rookie and this is amazing for him. He had probably one of, I would say, through his lifetime, this will be one of the most memorable years in baseball for him. His rookie year, he really blossomed and he works hard, and, to earn that. And I'm so happy and proud of him.
That's awesome. I love that. So you go to Seattle, they end up sweeping. Were you on the field after each celebration, the ALDS, ALCS, and World Series?
Yes.
Wow.
What an experience, it was really neat just to feel the excitement and the energy. You've been watching this team, right, throughout the season, and it's postseason, and we sweep Seattle, right? So that's amazing. The feeling on the field and the energy from these guys, I felt like they were going to win the World Series just because of that energy that they have and the bond that this team has. So it was incredible to be on the field and celebrate with everybody, and just kind of celebrate the whole postseason because, like Bregman said the other day, they just kept winning.
And I kind of took a page out of Mattress Macks' book. I didn't tell anybody this, but I actually bet on the Astros to win the ALCS in the World Series. Now, I didn't bet the amount of change I bet more of a common man's bet. And, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty pleased with the outcome of what I ended up getting. But I was like, dang it, I wish I had about $2,000 to put on the Astros when I
Yeah.
got the chance, you know? And so they win in Seattle. They sweep Seattle going into New York. New York wasn't necessarily um to me, they weren't at their strongest.
Hmm.
But if you would have told me at the beginning, hey, I've been to the future and the Yankees get swept, I'd have been like, there's no way they get swept. Like, not in New York. I mean, they're going to at least win one or two, right? And when they, so you were there for the no hitter, correct?
Yes.
What was the crowd like during that game? Did they just get worse and worse and worse, or more and more dejected? Because I can imagine that's got to be deflating as a Yankees fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did. It's interesting. In Philly, the fans got nicer as they were losing. And New York, they got meaner as they were losing. There's people that'll come and sit and taunt and, say really mean things. And it's interesting because before I traveled out of town to these playoff games, I never really thought about, at Minute Maid at home, we're so nice. We have Southern hospitality, we're not like that really. And so going to these stadiums, especially Yankee Stadium, they told us before, if we go to New York, be careful. You might not want to wear any Astros gear,
Yeah.
just because you don't want to get spit on. You don't want beer poured on you. You don't want, there's nasty people that do mean things. Fortunately, I didn't have that experience. I know some things did happen in New York, though. But they were ruthless. And they sit there right by all the families and they yell cheater and you suck and all kinds of things.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you ever caught it, but on Twitter someone was showing footage of Yankees fans yelling at, oh, is it Yankees? No, it was in Philadelphia actually. The
Oh yeah.
stuff they were yelling at, when Lance McCullers had that game, and they were like, you can't even hit the strike zone,
I think that was
and
the first game in Philly. I want to
okay,
say.
the first game, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
the first
yeah,
game was delayed. Game one was delayed and they pushed it back the next day. It was that next day.
that's true. Okay, that's what it was. But see, I remember when Garrett Cole was with the Astros. And I remember seeing footage of the Yankees fans being very hateful to Garrett Cole.
Of course.
And look, at the end of the day, if you go to the ballpark and you razz a player and it's fun razzing, I don't have a problem with that. Like people mess with Chad Pender all the time when the A's come to town. And there's certain players on certain teams that they give a hard time to, but the players interact with it, right? They
Right.
give Julio Rodriguez crap from the Mariners and he throws a ball up at the end of the inning. I mean, that's the kind of banter and stuff that you love to see. But when you know of the Miles Straw incident in New York where he climbs the fence to defend Stephen Kwan, and then you hear the stuff and you hear beer being poured on people. Now I got friends that are Yankees fans, and those guys that I talk to aren't like that. They're like, we don't even claim those people, right? But man, talk about a vicious atmosphere. And I can imagine how angry they were getting because not only had they been frustrated by their club's lack of winning since 2009, now they're getting blanked by the Astros
Yep.
again. And
It was amazing.
so so after they swept on the field, what was that like to be in New York at Yankee Stadium? I mean, the Yankees are who they are, right? I mean, they are one of the most popular sports teams in all of sports history, and you
Hmm.
swept them in New York. Did the Astros players look like not relieved? Because I mean, they've been beating them since they played them in the playoffs. No offense. I mean, we kind of own the Yankees in the playoffs. But was it like, yes, we're back to the World Series again? And just could you just feel the confidence oozing off of them when they swept the Yankees?
Oh, I could feel the confidence before then, so this is funny. We pulled into New York and the Eiffel Tower or the whatever building is not the Eiffel Tower. That's in Paris.
You
Goodness.
talking about the Empire State Building?
The Empire State Building. Yes.
There you
It was
go.
lit up orange and blue, which I know they're saying for the Knicks, but it wasn't a coincidence, And then right outside the hotel, there's this bar called Astros, and the logo for it is a star. So I
No.
know that, and then I see the Empire State Building, and I'm like, and that, and so we're sitting there later that night, and I was talking to Dusty Baker, and I was like, is it a coincidence? And he was like, I feel it. And I was like, yeah, I feel it too, And so I don't think it was a coincidence. I think it was a welcoming time to be there. We came on the perfect day with that lit up orange and blue. And I felt so confident. I think a lot of them did too, that, they were going to own it and make it to the Fall Classic.
I just going into the playoffs, I didn't see any team beating them. I was like, the only team that I'm really worried about in the National League are the Braves just because of what they did last year. But even
Yeah.
when I said that, I paused because I'm like, wait, we've got Justin Verlander. Lance McCullers is healthy. Alex Bregman's not playing with a broken hand. We didn't know Maldi was playing with a broken hand at the time.
We
But
didn't.
this lineup, and even with Altuve being almost a zero at the plate for the whole first two series, we're sweeping teams. And
Yeah.
I would almost contend that the Mariners were the better team in the playoffs. Maybe overall could have been better in a 7-game series than the Phillies even were.
Yeah.
And the Astros literally went 11-2 in the playoff. Or what was it? I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
11.
Was it
No,
11?
9. Is it 11-2? 3, 4. Sorry, 4.
Let us do our math. We'll be right back.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
So
But
I'm a
it was
history teacher. I'm not a math guy. I'm joking.
It was amazing. They did, we had a strong team.
Strong team. And I said at the beginning, someone said, was Cara at the no in Philly?
Yes, I was at every game.
So what was that atmosphere like?
Insane. Crazy. I mean, Philly was a whole nother level, right? And wasn't that the game after that happened with Mack? I believe
Yes.
it was. So we lost that game, right? It was like 7-0, really bad, not good. But then, or 7-something, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, we got shut out. We didn't score.
No, yeah, it's really bad. And so then you have that happen with Mack, and you have all that energy build up, right? And then that happens at the next game, the no-hitter. I mean, it was just everything that happened in the order that it did. It was like being on a roller coaster ride. It was incredible, and the energy was insane. The Philly fans the next day were obviously not very nice. But once we started winning, they actually started being nicer. The guy in front of us was a Philly fan, and he said, he knew we were from Houston because I was decked out in Houston stuff. He told the guy in front of him, "Have you ever been to Houston? I heard that place sucks." And then he sure changed his tune, by the 7th inning. So
exactly. And like our friend of the show, Jonathan, says, he said, Cara is living the life. Yes, we are all vicariously living through Cara. All of our hopes and dreams, especially as dudes, were like, bro, why can't that be me? Like, I mean, it is just neat that you got to experience that. My son and I got to go to Game 6. We were there. And to be able to watch a World Series clinching game in your home stadium with your son, with my son, was just a special moment. Like, I came to tears at the end of the game, and my son's like, "Dad, are you crying?" I was like, "Dad, are you crying?" I was like, "Yes, son, this is a beautiful moment." And he's like 14. He's like, "Why are you crying, Dad?" Trying to be all tough.
Oh, too cool.
And I'm like, "You'll understand. You'll cry one day with your son."
You got to remind him of that. I took my daughter to a World Series game. It was game 1, but she fell asleep, like in the 7th inning. She's little though.
Right. Well, she's younger. I remember. So my daughter was 2.5. She's now 20. My daughter was 2.5 at that 18-inning game with me. She was at a 6. Yeah, she was at the 18-inning game. She does not remember it. Ask her. She doesn't remember it.
Wow.
So
that's a long game for a 2.5-year-old. And I thought that in Seattle with, the wives and the babies and the little kids, and how are the moms managing with all the babies? Of course, they have a family room they can go to, but a lot of them wanted to watch because it was exciting and you didn't want to miss it. Yeah. So I was impressed by how well they all handled those sweet little children.
That's awesome. Cara, I really appreciate you joining the show, and I'm glad you and I connected before the World Series and we talked. And what I just want to wrap it up, and I just want to say that next time we'll have to have you on with Eric. Eric took the night off. People were asking, "Hey, where's Eric?" Eric taking that night off. I told him take a rest. Sometimes we need a rest from this podcast because we do it daily, 5 days a week. We're only going to do it 3 days a week for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're back at it. And that will be after probably the holidays into January. But Cara, tell us where we can find Gallery Sports. Tell us some of the things or maybe some of the writers that are there at Gallery Sports so people will know who to look for.
Yeah, so you can go to gallerysports.com and subscribe to our website for sports news and information, or you can follow us on Twitter at Gallery Sports. We have a collection of writers. We have John McClain, who is a very well-known writer in Houston. We also have Fred Farrow. Those are two of the main writers that we have, and two wonderful guys that know a lot about sports and have contributed to, the Houston Chronicle and things like that throughout the years.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Eric and Brandon do the Talking Stros podcast for you guys once a week. There's other podcasts, I believe, for other teams. And so you guys don't just cover one team, you cover all Houston teams, even if they're into soccer, whether it's basketball. Heck, if Houston one day gets a hockey team, Gallery Sports
Yeah.
covers it all, right?
We cover, yes, and we also cover college sports. I'm not sure what all we team. I think we're doing Texas teams right now. But if you go on our Twitter or our website, you can find out more and see those podcasts, see all the great articles that have been written there. I have a little segment called Cara's Catch and Go where I interview fans. That's a lot of fun. And you can also find me on Twitter at Currently Cara.
Awesome. Thank you, Cara, for joining us. We want to thank y'all for making Locked On Astros your first listen. We want you to make your next listen Locked On Sports Today podcast. It's the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. My name is Htown Wheehouse. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. You can find Eric at Eric Talk Stros on Twitter as well. And Cara, go check her out, Currently Cara, on Twitter. Thank you so much. Tell Mattress Mack we said hello, and we will save you. No, joke. I can't do it. I was going to try to take Mack's line. That's right. We will cover the Astros. So thank you so much. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you for everyone joining us, and we'll be back on Sunday. Oh, and next week on Tuesday, we will be interviewing Jeremy Pena's college coach, who is now at Coach Temper is now at Stetson University. He's going to tell us about recruiting, and finding out what kind of a great baseball player he had before Houston even knew who Jeremy Pena was. That's coming next week. Thank y'all. Go Stros.